Morena, and welcome to today's Extraordinary Operations Committee meeting. To start off, I'd like to ask Councillor Wharehenga if he could do a karakia for us, please.
Me noi tātou. E o ngā manu, a tēnei te whakamuinga tutu ki a koe mō tēnei huhui ngā mātou. Arahina mai ki a u, ki te tika, ki te pono i a mātou. A tukua mai, tō wairua tapu hei manaki, hei tiaki, hei awhina hoki a mātou. Anei mātou e tōhu nei amu i tō aroaro. A ka tuku i tēnei inoi, i rongi te ngō mātou kai whakaora a hiu kraiti. Amen.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to this meeting. First off, do we have any apologies? No apologies. That recorded. Declarations of interest. Is there any declarations of interest? Leave of absence. No leave of absence. Acknowledgements and tributes. There are no acknowledgements and tributes. Public input and petitions. We don't have any public input or petitions. Okay. Extraordinary business. Notice of motion. Adjourn business. So we'll go straight to page 4, reports of the Chief Executive and staff decision. And on page 4, we've got that the Operations Committee suspends Standing Orders 24.3 requirement to give notice to the Chief Executive at least 5 working days before the meeting at which it is proposed to consider the motion. Considers a recommendation in the attachment notice of motion. Do I have a mover? Yep. A move by Your Worship, seconded by Councillor Akahara-Brown. Okay, we go straight to notice of motion.
Yeah, put it.
Right, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Thank you. Okay. Notice of motion from the Mayor, Rehet Stoltz, and Councillor Akahara-Brown. That the Operations Committee instructs the Chief Executive to seek widespread community feedback and to consult specifically with Tarawhiti Iwi about the future location for the Endeavour replicas. And 2, instructs the Chief Executive to report back to the Operations Committee with a recommendation when community feedback and iwi consultation has been completed. Do I have a mover? Moved by Her Worship, the Mayor, and seconded by Meredith Akahara-Brown. The signatures are on here. Okay, do I have anyone wanting to comment, please? Councillor Akahara-Brown.
Absolutely want to comment. Firstly, I want to say ngā kia koutou to those joining us today in the viewing space. Kia ora to you. I want to say thank you to the community for the karakia and kōrero this morning outside Te Kauniira o Te Tairawhiti. It was very heartening, to be honest, to stand in that space. So my issue with regard to the instructing of the Chief Executive, I just wanted to ask, I believe it's actually incumbent on all of us to seek widespread community feedback because we are elected by our community, and I wouldn't like to think it was just Nadine's role to do so. As the Chief Executive, of course, she has a key role to play. This whole kōrero is about participation, a key framework of Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Participation is different to consultation. So I wanted to ask 3 things. Firstly, we have a legislation and councils are creatures of statute. And I want to ask, is it very clear in that space that we are treaty partners so that decisions like this don't cause the tension and concerns raised by communities, specifically tangata whenua, because we have community who believe we are treaty partners. So when we talk to this space, are we not, I will say that, are we not doing our role properly? Because it's a treaty requirement. So to come to this meeting today, I don't want us to have to keep doing this, to see this happen over and over, because it is actually our role in this respect. We also won a national award for consultation for a WTF, very innovative way of consultating or talking, engaging with community. So I would like to think that we use the learnings of that space and don't see give a little pages as mechanisms of consultation. Thirdly, I believe that it's important for this council, or can I ask, is it important for this council to understand Te Tiriti, to have a workshop to unpack what it actually truly means to be partners in agreeing to these things? And lastly, should the community determine that these models that again are symbolic and reminders of some very hurtful things, as I heard again today, of murder. That's the reality of this. We're seeing globally the removal of such replicas and symbolism. Should we be putting these up as another consideration to the pain and the ongoing pain and suffering for many Māori in this region, and if not this nation? So today I ask that when we consider the instruction to the Chief Executive, we consider that it's actually our whole role to look at our part to play as councillors and ensuring the participation of our community. It's not just Nadine Thatcher Swan's role, it's all of ours. And it's actually incumbent on us to learn more of Te Tiriti of Waitangi, I believe. Kia ora.
Just before we go to someone else, I just want to just clarify something, that the Operations Committee and what we've revoked is the subject of what we passed at the last meeting, and that I'll read it out. The subject to sufficient funds being raised and consent requirements being met instructs the Chief Executive to install the Endeavour replicas in the same location as the previous Endeavour replicas. Now, I've read out the revocation, but the whole paper is about the relocation. It's not about the installation of them at all. It is about the relocation of them being. So actually, Nadine, do you want to speak to someone first before?
Through the chair, probably if I am to comment on anything, I think the paper as it stood gave you options to engage or proceed down the track that you had instructed staff to undertake since actually went back to 2017. So all I can really say is it's a discussion that needs to be had by governance and a decision that needs to be made by yourselves, taking into account your duties and obligations as councillors to the region.
Thank you for that. Yeah, okay, can we have some more comments, please, if anyone wants to make? Debbie, Councillor Gregory.
Thank you. I voted not to consult with Tangata Whenua, and I would like to apologise and admit that I got that wrong. Following the meeting, I've had a huge amount of feedback and discussion, and I've been listening and learning. We've been talking about uncomfortable conversations, and this has been a big one. I have been feeling very uncomfortable. With the advances we've made as a community together, we have to surge forward and not back. We need to consult because it is important to both Māori and Pākehā. It is bullish to go ahead and think it's the right decision. While I cannot predict the end result of consultation, I can understand if Tairāwhiti Iwi felt the CBD was not the best place for one. I went to the proposed site on Derby Street, Gladstone Road after the meeting, and I sat there and thought, if there was an art piece or model there that affects a huge part of our community in a negative way, then that is wrong. To many Māori, these models symbolise colonialism. Everybody should be able to come to town and go to the supermarket and do their business without that burden. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Do you have any more comments by anybody? Councillor Robinson.
I'm still extremely uncomfortable with the recommendation, and I take the point that Councillor Akahata-Brown has raised. The decision to instruct the Chief Executive to consult with the wider community about the future location of the Endeavour replicas has to encompass and allow for a conversation which says the location for those endeavours is not this community. Because if we shut our ears to that opinion, then we have not progressed at all on this matter.
Thank you. Have we, any other comments at all? Councillor Cranston.
It's absolutely clear to all councillors, and myself included, that we should consult with iwi. And I think we do it really well. This singular item,
Excuse me. Can I,
the singular item has been difficult for many years. For many, many years, we've had trouble with this singular item. We understand that we're about participation, protection, and partnership. And the intent is mutual respect. The intent of the Treaty of Waitangi is mutual respect. And I think we seem to go a little bit off track on this one. And this one only, I would like to reiterate that our relationship with iwi has been very good on many matters, and we just struggle with this one. The advice from the Waitangi Tribunal is the needs of both cultures must be provided for, and compromise is needed, and in some cases to achieve this. I agree with that sentiment, but acknowledge there is a wide gap. The Waitangi Tribunal also state the purpose of consultation is so the decision makers are well informed. Now, I respect what Debbie has just said, because I realise we've got new councillors around here. From my own point of view, I've been sitting around this issue for many, many years, and it's been a frustration to us all because there is this wide gap with a split in the middle, and that's where we really struggle. But in general, going back to consultation, I'm comfortable with, because I realise that there are newer councillors here and not everyone has got the long history of absolute frustration with this issue that I have. So happy to see it go back to consultation, and I do feel your emotion. I know what the issues are about. I just wish there was an easy way, but it seems there isn't. Noku ake ine whakaaro.
thank you for that, Councillor Cranston. Your Worship, the man.
Like I've said in the media and just outside as well, as a council, as governors, we can do better. We should not even be here. Partnerships are not consulting just when we have to or when we feel it appropriate. Real partnerships, like Daniel said outside, start right at the beginning. We don't just consult right at the end. So as the mayor, I know we could have done better in this. Our community is shouting out, saying to us, we want to talk about this, and this is what we should do as a council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that this is a very tough conversation, but that's why we're here. We're big people. We can do this. And when you speak, sorry, Councillor Cranston, when you speak of the longitudinal space, I am reminded that this does go back some time, but that's where it needs to go back to, the beginning, where non-consultation was the norm. We need to change that today so that we don't arrive back here anymore, because it's been 250 years. That's a long time for us to consider this process of colonisation and its impacts on our lives. So if we are going to actually do the right thing, then we are not going to have another flare-up in a couple of months after we celebrate another thing or commemorate something. We're going to do what is right today, because the time is right to always do what is right. And the right thing to do is to stop saying we will consult with tangata whenua. We will partner. We will be on the same page. We will work together. We will understand, because we're just peeling a scab of a sore that's deep, a wound. And we need to be bold to do that today. Let's put a stake in the ground and challenge the system that continues to make this conversation happen. Today's the day to say, let's not be uncomfortable with this. This is our place. We've put a stake in the ground by being elected here. But are we doing right by everybody that we represent? Because we sign an oath to do that. And I believe we can be a restorative, we can be a reconciliative, we can be true to what is right, because we will stop treating people different because of the colour or the race. We will start treating people as people who are invested and interested, because they live here too, and they lived here before Europeans came. So it's time to do the right thing and say no more will we talk of consulting as if it's something that we add to a report or have to make it look like we are doing what is right. Let's be partners. You want a partnership, they do too. And a partnership isn't a consultation.
Thank you for that. Is there any more comments at all? Councillor Burdett.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't going to say a word. I just come today to approve what's here. However, let's face the reality. When good people fail to speak out, evil prevails. We represent the whole community. And when you pander to one section, you piss the other side off, big time. On Sunday night, we had a marae meeting over putting a new roof and cladding at Mangahania. That to me is what's important. Consultation, and we have, contrary to some of the things that have been said, we have listened and consulted mai rāno. Maybe the message hasn't been getting through for either us or the ones that are supposed to be listening to us. But ultimately, Meredith is right in the sense we have to work together. The treaty is very important, and we are living in very changing and challenging times. The government tells us we must work with iwi, so we must work with other groups too. Let's not forget that. That's about all I got to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that, Councillor Burdett. Have we got any other comments at all from councillors? All those in favour? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you for that. Just one comment I'd like to make before we finish, and that's what is the appropriate imagery to portray this region for the future? You know, I mean, I'll put a challenge out there. Let's have a some artwork that depicts Tuia 250, two people hommying and celebrating our community. So, you know, let's take a positive from this, and if we can come back with some imagery that depicts this region on a positive note, we're all winners. Thank you. We will. Okay, I call this meeting adjourned, and we'll wait for the next. I closed.